fifth week of spring ball, practice number 13 tonight. We did back off a little bit. We had a really productive scrimmage on Friday. Got almost 60 reps of live reps, tackle football. Got out of it pretty healthy. So kind of thought tonight we made all of our corrections. We had meetings early this morning, had another round of meetings tonight, kind of had some install. Really kind of want to have a good kind of football specific. We did some very specific things in the punting game and very specific things offense, defense. So to get that installed, and then we should have a pretty good Wednesday morning practice and a pretty good Friday evening practice to call it a day. So really the only injury thing from Friday night, I'm sure you saw B. Henderson out there, was limp. He had a boot on. Pretty mild ankle sprain. There's actually a good chance he's going to practice tomorrow. So got out of it healthy. Been to this point, been able to be very fortunate to get out of everything to this point as good as we can be. The part that we're kind of banking on is when we come back in June, really the last week in May, first week of June, everybody that's been limited in spring ball should be pretty much fully active and engaged in our summer program. And then by July 1st, everybody should have a clean bill of health running into it, whereas last year we had a couple guys that kind of dragged into the first week of fall camp, but like where we're at right now. With that, open up for questions.
You have a lot of depth guys in that, scrimmages you've seen. Who have you really seen step up and show you something in those scrimmages?
I'd say offensive line, some of our depth. Brandon Henderson and Brandon Hansen both have been in a really good battle at right guard. I thought those two guys have really, probably playing as good a football as they've ever played. There's a lot of guys that, even though they might have played a little bit for us, I thought they've had their best friend, Captain Jones, Malik Elzy, Hudson Clement had his best scrimmage by far. Derek Stoffel, so some of those transfer guys are really kind of taking their own now. No doubt Tommy Waugh had his best scrimmage on the defense side of the ball. Leon Lowry continued to take a step forward, but there's some other guys, Grant Bierman, some of the freshmen have really, both RJ and Amar, two Florida kids on the perimeter that have really continued to shine and do some good things. You saw him out there a little bit today, but Crimmins, the punter, is really a really good player. Very excited to watch him continue to grow and be good. I think, there's some periphery guys that, are going to give us a lot of depth. Khalil Ballantyne continues to look very impressive. We limited Josh and Aiden from the scrimmage, so to see Khalil get in there and do some really good things in the scrimmage, it's impressive. He was running with our first group when that group was out there. I would say Ethan, our quarterback transfer, and also Carson Boyd. Trey did some good things too, actually, all three of those quarterbacks. We didn't run Luke all that much in the scrimmage. We didn't do it in the live scrimmage. So those other guys, I thought looked pretty good.
What was it a lot from Aaron and Corey both about Tanner Heckel, especially
yeah.
He's moved to corner. What have you liked about what he's shown you this spring?
Yeah, Tanner's just a really good ball player. When we signed him, we really took him as an athlete that was very impressive. And last year, I made Dish and those guys start running him as a special teams guy. I just saw he had really good ball sense, and then Aaron was trying to, but I said, let's move him to corner and see if he can play it, right? And every indication is that he can. Super excited. He's a very opportunistic player. He takes coaching very well. He's very tough. I would say he gets to watch Torrey Cox, who he kind of shares a similar body type with, and Torrey really uses his leverage really well as a corner. So, I like where he's at. But the guy that's really probably been the most impressive is Jaheim Clark. Juice has really had a nice spring. Torrey's played extremely well. And also Caleb Patterson was a little bit limited with a hamstring, but he's been back the last 2 weeks, and all four of those guys have been pretty impressive.
What was the difference between Saturday scrimmage and the one you had the previous weekend?
Friday,
yeah.
But the week before we did a lot more scrimmage, but it wasn't live tackle football. We did a lot of ones and twos, and then we probably not quite half, but I would say we doubled the amount of full scrimmage reps. Made it all first and 10, second down, third down. We had some red area. We had some move the ball. The week before it was all pretty much early downs, regimented, some third down stuff, but there wasn't a lot of move the ball, and there was a lot of move the ball Saturday or Friday.
You can't talk specifics, but how the recruiting weekend?
Yeah, we've had two back-to-back really good recruiting weekends. A lot of credit to our recruiting staff, but also my coaches. We've been kind of wearing double hats. You get done with a scrimmage on Friday and jump right into a recruiting meal that night. But Champaign kind of sells itself. I can't tell you how effective the people of our community, as our guys are out, and whether it be at a restaurant or the way they make them feel in their hotel, bumping into people. It's just, I think Champaign is very proud of their football team right now, and that always is going to help us. We had about a half a dozen guys the first week. We had 9 official visitors. Really, I thought it was kind of interesting, like the way our roster is made up is we have a predominant strong force of a 5-hour radius around Champaign, and then we do a lot in Jersey and Florida, and this week was almost an exact replica of that. It was 5 Illinois, 2 Jersey, and 2 Florida, and I think that kind of, in a microcosm, is our roster.
I almost hate to speak the words transfer portal,
Yeah.
but it is that time of year.
Yeah.
And
When's
do you have any feel for how this second
know,
week may affect your team?
Good question. I think in the transfer portal, you have to understand where it is and when's coming. But like there's been times where I thought guys might be getting in and they didn't. I thought there would be guys that weren't that did. So we've had a lot of what I always say is much better to be proactive than reactive, right? So we've had a lot of proactive conversations with guys, but the portal starts Wednesday. I don't know if we'll have anybody come in before then, but it's starting to happen in college football. I'm not oblivious to what's going on at other places, but our guys know open door policy. I meet with all of our guys twice a year. I think that's proactively. There's a lot of places that don't do that once, let alone twice. So I think to build a bridge with those kids right now is really important. I tell our coaches all the time, let's, to continue to build bridges, don't buy boats, right? Like try to continue to connect people with one another every time we walk in this building. The way you say hi and the way you say goodbye, you're building or tearing down a relationship, and I think our kids respect that. But what will be interesting for us is we do have a few roster spots available, right, and some things that as this thing unfolds, we'll try to build as strong a roster. I felt really good about where our roster is at right now, but college football is changing. There's going to be the roster rules, I think, of 105. Hopefully that ruling is going to be coming out here sooner than later, and that's going to kind of continue to put a spin on things that we've never seen before.
Brett, we saw Cole Russ tonight in green.
Yeah.
Nice to be able to go through some things. Are you encouraged about how he's kind of gone through this whole
So
thing?
we had 2 groups. We had the quarterback club here in town, and we had the icon group. And one of the, I don't know which group she was with, but it had young man came up to me and goes, "Coach, what's the green jersey means?" And I go, "It means they can't be hit." So Cole's been clear for everything non-contact. So that's why you see the quarterbacks in green, right? Like so Cole has been a kind of a steady progress. We actually, I want to say the first week he jumped in and did some things, and we wasn't quite where we wanted to be. So today was a really big day. I was busting him up today in the stretch line. Him and Luke was busting him up, Aiden Lawfrey. But Cole is a very impressive, good-looking kid that we know a lot about because we recruited him, and he got in a good summer, and then he got in 5 practices, but we really haven't had him since. So. We're excited to see anything we can here, but he'd be another guy in June. It's got to be a big month for us.
Brett, what do you think of a second open window for transfers? Is this something that needs to change long term? Or?
Yeah, with the portal window, I just kind of say this, like, just tell me the rules and I can play by it, right? Like, I have feelings. There's no doubt in my mind it's probably one of the most exciting things, in my opinion, in my career since I've been in college football. The addition of the portal in combination with NIL/revenue share, it just makes the playing field so much more even. Even when I was, I distinctly remember being a head coach at Wisconsin. We had won a bunch of games, and we went into a Big Ten meeting, and I was mad because we had won more games during the window of time we were talking about than anybody else in our conference, even more than Ohio State. And they were all talking about 4 teams, right, that we had beaten, one of the things Coach Alvarez, who was a guiding light in my life for a long time, he said, you can't change 50 years of history, right? And I'll never forget that, right? Because as much as you do in the short term, you can't really affect what's happened in the long term. But you can make an immediate impact. You can change the perspective. We had another national couple beat writers in today. The last couple weeks had them come in, and one of the things I said last week to one of the writers who was in, they've been doing this job for 12, 13 years or whatever since the playoffs have been alive. And I said, how many times have you been to Champaign? And she said, never. I said, exactly, right? I know we've come a long way. I'm excited where we're at, but we can't forget where we got to. And we've done a good job, in my opinion, in the portal world of evaluating immediate needs that we need, finding kids that fit our program. We had one guy, that kind of struggled in that world, and it was something we all learned from. So I think we've done a really good job of identifying areas that we need. And I think this weekend we'll get done Friday night, and we'll have a pretty lengthy personnel meeting on Saturday, and just what little pieces can we find for the 2025 season that, maybe a guy here, a guy there, a backup here, a backup there, a role player here, a certain skill set here, and see where we can go.
All good?